Formula One's expansion into the US market seems almost unstoppable ever since Liberty Media took to the helm. And obviously there have been a lot of rumours surrounding a third race in the States, joining the Circuit of the Americas in Texas and a new race in Miami debuting as Round 5 on the 2022 calendar. The third race is going to take place in Las Vegas, which is no big surprise, this is something we've known for quite a while, which is on the western side of the states in Nevada. The race is set to be a night race, because we certainly need more of those, don't we? But that's where it gets interesting. Obviously, Formula One want the race to be as accessible live to as many people as possible from all around the globe. But when you're holding a night race in the western US, logistically, this gets quite interesting. For full context though, PST, the local time zone, is 3 hours behind EST, which is the east coast of the United States. And for the European viewers, I think you all know where this is going. PST is 8 hours behind UK time, and therefore 9 hours behind most of Europe. Now, obviously, this raises a massive challenge for Formula One, because the European audiences tune in to watch the race on a Sunday. But if on a Sunday evening you're hosting it in Las Vegas, that's Monday morning in Europe, and ahead of a new work week, you're not going to get that audience that you want. So that is why, in some very interesting news coming out recently, the race is supposedly taking place on a Saturday in the evening. That's for viewers in the US. This is actually quite clever, to be fair to them. The race is looking to take place on Saturday, the 25th of November, 2023. This is also Thanksgiving weekend, meaning almost everyone's at home and they're in a bit of a sporty mood. Now, to be brutally honest, I think the weekend format could be pretty likely to change and be condensed. I do see a 2-day race weekend as a real possibility, with 2 90-minute practice sessions on the Friday and then qualifying a good 4 or 5 hours before the race takes place in the evening on the Saturday. This way as well, if you have any American viewers tuning in, let's say midday when qualifying's on, they're more likely to, stick around and give it a go for the race that evening than if they had to wait another day. Alternatively, they could, of course, just shift the days forward one and have a Thursday to Saturday race weekend with the exact same format we'd be used to. However, this isn't particularly accessible to European audiences at all, really, simply because of how many late night / early mornings you're forcing them to do, and it would hinder viewing numbers for practice and quali, no doubt. Which is the last thing they want, as the whole appeal of hosting a race in Las Vegas is to show it off to the world. But let's just take a quick look at what times we should be expecting from at very least the race start, as it's actually a lot more challenging than you'd think. So starting off, and this is definitely the limiting factor, it's a night race. Sunset in Las Vegas on the 25th of November is at 4:27 PM local time. And with the start of the race being triggered by the formation lap starting at the turn of the hour, the earliest this race can go ahead is 5 PM local time, which is already 8 PM for those on the East Coast and 1 AM UK time, which is sort of reasonable, I guess, and works well for Asian audiences too. And, well, that works actually pretty well. It could very easily be a 7 PM local start time, which actually, yeah, it probably works best for those in the West Coast. You have got the prime time audience right there. However, that's already 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and is also a 3 to 4 AM start time in Europe, which isn't really ideal over the course of a full 3-day weekend, and even earlier than the races we see in Australia and Japan. For me, looking purely from the sports perspective to maximise the audience figures, I'd be looking to start around 5 to 6 PM local time, which just makes the race a late night for European viewers and works well for the Asian and Australasian audience as well. And it also meets the criteria for covering most of the US Thanksgiving prime time on that Saturday evening. Also, there are a few different rumours for what the layout of the track could be, and they vary quite a lot. But one thing we are sure of is that part of the famous Las Vegas Strip will feature in the layout, somewhere at least. But ultimately, what do you guys think? This really has split the Formula One fan base. Would you want to change the format of the weekend slightly, or just move the whole thing a day forward? Also, what are your thoughts on this race in the first place? A lot of people have a lot of reservations about there being 3 races in one country. Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're there, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel as it's free and it really does help out. Also, the top link in the description is a link to the Discord server. You can join over 800 subscribers in there. We have a lot of chat about F1 fantasy and F1 as a whole, along with any breaking news, and it's a good chance to just have a chat with some like-minded Formula 1 fans. But with all the plugs out the way, I think there's only one thing left to say. Until next time, goodbye.